Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about something I don't really talk about, which is plumbing. And really, this is kind of a rant about manufacturer incompatibility. So long story short, in our guest bathroom, we have a self-contained vanity bowl sink that we got at a big box store about 10 years ago. I don't remember which store, one of the two big ones. And it was cheap, it was a couple $100 for the whole thing. And it's okay, and it lasted about 5 years, and then the valves started to leak. And normally you go out, you buy a washer, you buy a new valve cartridge, and you're all set. But even with the part number from some, non-existent foreign manufacturer, couldn't get replacement parts anywhere. And when I say anywhere, hardware store, no. Big box store, no. Internet, no. Plumbing supply store, no. So since we couldn't fix them, we went out and we bought a Delta faucet set. Now, my intent was to use the two Delta valve bodies for the hot and the cold, and then use the existing faucet spout, because the one we had was made for that bowl sink. And the new Delta would come up and over, but it didn't quite come far enough. And I'm going to show you on the video what that looks like. Well, long story short, couldn't do it. And couldn't do it because these things are incompatible, right? Delta's got their own crazy quick connects. Moen does, Pfister does. And even the crazy one that wasn't working, while it had regular 1/2 inch, pipe thread in and out for the hot and the cold, whatever diameter the thread for the main valve body is not standard. And I couldn't find a connector to fit that either. Makes me crazy. So we lived with the Delta for 5 years. And now it's getting annoying because it's really hard to wash your hands. You can't get them under there. And my wife was looking at new faucets. And to get a cool one for a bowl sink, they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's anti-me to do that. Now, I kept the old faucet. So today what I'm going to do is show you how in a couple of hours you can make an adapter to go from one incompatible part to another incompatible part yourself. You don't need a lot of skills, and you don't need any crazy tools. So let's take a look at what it takes to do that. All right, so here's the vanity and the sink we were just talking about. I took the door off so that I can get under there because this is a tight little bathroom, but you can see there's not a lot of room here to wash your hands. This just gets in the way. It's really hard to tell from the video, but there's no room. So we want to put that old one back. We're going to leave the two valve bodies in place. And then let's take a look underneath, and I can show you what I'm talking about from the proprietary connector bit. All right, so here we are underneath, and you can see those Delta quick connects. And you can also see some water droplets because I disconnected it already. So what I'm going to do is show you how you can use that Delta quick connect on a faucet that doesn't come from Delta. All right, so this is how we're going to make the magic happen. Here's the Delta faucet, and this is the piece that I need. It's the Delta Quick Connect. So I'm going to cut this off right here, which will allow me to use this again in the future if I need to. And then I'm going to take this piece. This is the connector for the other faucet, just threads onto the bottom, and typically you have your hot and your cold running in. So we're going to cap off each side of this. I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom, the same diameter as this copper tubing. I'm going to put that in there. We're going to sweat that, solder it shut, and we're going to be good to go. It should be as simple as that. All right, so we're out in the shop. You could do this in your basement. I apologize for the mess, but I'm in the middle of a motorcycle project here as well. So what do we have to do? Well, and this guy is the problem, this quick connect. So we're going to cut this off, and I'm going to cut it off so that I can hopefully reuse this in the future if I need it for something. This is the connector that goes on the old faucet. So we got to do two things with this. Number one, we got to cap it off. I couldn't get 1/2 inch thread on caps, so I had to buy these adapters. Of course, it's an adapter, so you can't put a cap on it. So I've got to cut a little piece of 1/2 inch pipe and sweat these together. So I'm going to make 2 of those and have those ready to go on here. Then we're going to drill this the same diameter as this. We're going to sweat in a piece of pipe. We're going to put the whole thing together.
and we'll be good to go. And I hope we're going to be good to go, because this project, there is no turning back at this point if it doesn't work. So let's get started. All right, so little time lapse here, but basically starting off cutting a couple of pieces of copper pipe. I'm using a very inexpensive pipe cutter. You could use a hacksaw. And then once you've got the pipe cut, use a little bit of sandpaper or some emery cloth and clean up the edges, put some flux on it, and then you solder it together. There's really nothing to it. So here I'm making the connectors. Now in this case, I'm trying to find the right size drill bit to drill the hole. You want the hole to be as close to the diameter of the pipe as possible. Like a knucklehead, I thought that material was soft enough I could start off with a larger bit. Didn't work, and was having a problem getting it centered, so I went to a small bit, which is what I should have done to begin with. Put the 3/8 bit back in there and actually drilled the final hole. Here you can see that. And then, of course, you got to clean that up, clean up the copper, put it together, sweat that in, and of course, make sure you get good flow of the solder, and you're good to go. And after doing all of that, here's what we ended up with. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but this is going to work. So let's go put it on the sink and see what happens. All right, so here we are underneath. There's my new monstrosity. And that connector just popped right on. So Sheila, do me a favor, turn on the cold water. Very nice, no leaks. Now turn on the hot water. Woohoo! Okay, no leaks. Looks like we are good down here. All right, and last little thing. Anytime I do something like this from a plumbing perspective, I just put a dry paper towel in the cabinet and I leave it there for a day or two. And if anything is going to drip, I'm going to see it on that paper towel. All right, and after all of that, here we are done. And that works a heck of a lot better than what we had before.
All right, so that's all there is to it. I mean, it's not complicated. You didn't see me use any special tools, although I did use my 1944 Delta drill press, which I restored, and I've got a couple of videos on that if you're interested. Otherwise, what do? You drill a hole, you put some copper pipe fittings together, you solder them together, and if you don't know how to do that, I'm sure there's a gazillion tutorials on it. Buy some cheap copper fittings. You need a handheld propane torch and some solder and some flux. Put it together and practice, and then you're not stuck with this crazy manufacturer incompatibility, and you don't have to turn your $10 faucet project into a couple of $100 worth of spend. I like to fix things. That's why I call the channel Chris Does Everything, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing things like that. Hopefully, you're watching because you do too. So, if you like my content, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, maybe give me a like. And otherwise, again, thanks for watching. Hope this is useful, and have a great day.